Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 23. It was late afternoon when Cole pulled the truck to a stop in front of his home. "Monroe, go open the gate. Here's the key," Cole told him. "Yes, sir," Monroe replied, hopping out of the vehicle. "Nice place, sir," Chappie said, peering out the front window. He stared out at a stucco home with a red tile roof. Monroe was opening a chain-link fence that surrounded the house. The truck rolled through the gate and stopped in front of the garage. The men stepped from the vehicle into the warm Arizona sunshine. "Stay here for a minute," Cole instructed. He left to disarm the security measures he'd set up for unwanted visitors before leaving. "Come on," Cole called to them from the doorway. Monroe stepped in, surveying the home as he entered. "So this is Cole Virgis's home." "Damn fine digs, sir," Chappie declared with a wide smile. "There are 2 extra rooms in the loft and a bathroom in between. Enjoy," Cole told them, taking his bag to the back of the home. Monroe explored the sitting room, impressed by the setup. Who knew Cole Virgis lived like a pimp? This place is trick. Look at that stereo system. Chappie followed Cole toward the back of the house and noticed that there were stairs to a basement. Venturing down into the sublevel, Chappie was amazed. "Monroe, check out this woodworking shop in the basement," he called to his friend. The wooden stairs creaked as Monroe followed him with Cole on his heels. "Geez, sir, I didn't know you did your own canning," Monroe commented, looking at the assortments of products on the shelves. "No one ever knew when the rainy day was coming. I was hoping I wouldn't need it. But I have a feeling it's going to come in handy now," Cole commented, proudly showing off his reserves. Chappie looked at him curiously. "How come nobody raided your place? You know there had to be chaos on the streets for a while." Cole grinned mischievously in response. "There are some not too friendly security features outside, but I built a reputation around here. All you have to do is embellish some battle stories at the hardware store and the bars. Word travels quickly in small towns." "I'm sure glad I decided to come with you, boss," Chappie affirmed, clasping Cole on the shoulder in a show of friendship. "We're all civilians now, Chappie," Cole told him, feeling uncomfortable at Chappie's calling him boss. "That's not true. We're here with you. Otherwise, we would be in a FEMA camp," Monroe countered. He wasn't happy with his freedom resting on another man. Cole understood his feelings, but these men were his closest friends. "Well, we're just 3 guys hanging out when we're here. Let's go grab a beer and make it official." "Sounds like a plan to me," Chappie agreed, heading for the stairs. Cole grabbed a 6-pack off the shelf and headed for the stairs behind Monroe. Entering the kitchen, they pulled out the chair and finally took a moment to relax. The journey had been much longer than Cole anticipated, and he never expected to return home in this fashion, with his comrades in arms. Reflecting on the situation, Cole mused, "We should be fine for the winter. I always planned on having extra people with me." "Like a family?" Monroe wondered in a dreamy tone. Amused by his suggestion, Cole chuckled and replied, "No. I just knew going it alone was risky. You gotta have a battle buddy." "Or 2, Chappie added with a smile, holding his bottle up for the other men to touch theirs too. "What's up with McClintock's kid?" "I'll miss that kid. We always got along well," Cole admitted honestly. "I wonder what will become of him." "Seems like McClintock does right by him," Monroe interjected. "He tries," Cole admitted. "Anyway, I have seeds for next spring, and I know a lot of local growers. Las Vegas isn't far from here. I hear it's a war for supplies inside the city, but it could be entertaining," Chappie interjected. "Let's not cross that bridge unless we have to," Cole advised, but was cut short by a knock at the door. He looked up at Chappie in surprise. "Who the hell knows you're home?" Chappie wondered. "Let's find out. Cover me," Cole advised the men as he approached the door. The men grabbed their rifles, overseeing him. Cole slowly turned the doorknob and then suddenly ripped the door open. "Ginger," Cole stated, surprised by her presence. "Geez, you're awful jumpy," she commented, watching the men relax their aggressive pose. "Please, come in, have a beer," Cole told her, welcoming his friend. Her red, wavy hair danced in the light as she entered. Monroe stepped up quickly, introducing himself. "Tim Monroe, ma'am. It's very nice to meet you." Chappie eagerly approached, extending his hand. "Bill Chappie." Monroe gave him a brotherly shove, teasing him. "She doesn't care what your name is." Her brown eyes sparkled in amusement as she replied, "It's very nice to meet you both." Cole walked back towards the table, pulling out a chair. "Have a seat. How have you been?" The other men joined him at the table, opening another beverage. "Thanks for the beer," Ginger replied, as she took a long pull from the bottle. She held it in the air, looking at it admiringly. It's been a struggle to get supplies. The trucks to restock the grocery stores are getting further apart. "They're going to class this area as part of the Badlands," Cole informed her. "What does that mean?" Ginger wondered. "It means the trucks will stop coming altogether. You don't produce enough to warrant the effort of bringing food out here," Monroe explained. She looked appalled by his words. "What are we supposed to do?" "We'll survive. We'll have to produce for ourselves," Cole suggested. "Or you'll go to a camp," Chappie interjected, finishing his beer. "They're turning Las Vegas into one. The dam is still holding, and there's water there," she explained. "I heard that myself," Cole admitted. He sat back thinking for a moment. "Ginger, who is in charge in town? You remember Barry King?" she wondered. "The guy who owns the hardware store?" "Yeah. He's been a fair man, trying to hold us together. You should come say hello," Ginger suggested. "I'd like that," he admitted. She smiled widely at his encouraging response. "Hell, you could head up the defenses. You know a lot more than the yahoo they have in charge." "What's his name?" Monroe wondered. "Al McKay. He was only in the Army for a 4-year tour, and he thinks he's Rambo," she said sarcastically with a chuckle. "We'll have to check this out," Virgis, Chappie told him. "My home is still standing, and the community seems to be intact. He must be doing something right," Cole defended the man. "Valid point, sir, but we'd have no problem helping out," Monroe assured him. "I'll check out the situation," Cole responded, but he didn't want to get involved. "Ginger, you should understand. I came home because I didn't want to be a part of the roundup anymore. I'll help protect our town, but I'm not going to give them any excuse to take my freedom." "Thanks for being up front. And I get that," Ginger assured him as she stood from her chair. "I need to get back to town. I'll let Al know we have more men for guard detail. Thanks for the beer. It was nice meeting you both."
Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 420, season 15, episode 23. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, chin's up, y'all.
Man, I didn't even realize it was episode 420. So it's a special number for those of you who are in the know. Chin's like, what? So we got Mr. Dave Jones with us here today. What's going on, Dave, man?
Hey, Sarah, thanks for having me.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
I'm missing my DAC fixes, my rants.
Your rants, yeah.
Oh
Well,
man, I used to lob those topics in, and you would rant them out of the ballpark.
Yeah. Well, in the morning, it's kind of chaos getting everybody ready to go to school, and I load everything up. And then once you're there, okay, the policy is cell phones off and away.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, hey, I'm a teacher. I use my cell phone.
Use your power, Dave. Use the power.
Nah, I keep it away. One time I'm in the closet and I'm actually calling Maria, talking. She says, "Why are you whispering?" Said,
I'm hiding in the closet.
Yeah.
Goodness.
That's awesome.
she says, "Come out of the closet." I said, "No, not in this school. Not in this school."
awesome.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
so cool. So,
We're talking about food preservation, and I was thinking to myself, we should have Marie on because she is the queen of canning, the princess of preserves, the duchess of drying, and royalty of refrigeration. I mean, she is the bomb.
I love that.
I think she can
Oh, we
pick
miss you, Mr.
about
Jones.
No, those are some of my best memories. Are like with my mom canning, just like having so much fun. I mean, it's so long to do. I got shelves of peaches and they're frozen. You hit like that just punch drunk stage during every food prep event, and we just laugh, have some great memories as a family of canning our stuff. So I respect that.
Yep. And my mom too. She kept 3 boys busy. I mean, we made all kinds of jam and applesauce and apple preserves, and she just, she was the quintessential farmer's daughter. And it was funny because as she was getting older and coming of age, it was like the 50s and everything was supposed to be modern, and Campbell's soup, you don't make your own soup.
Yeah.
And they actually looked down on anybody that was, so she tried to shy away from it. But growing up poor, we didn't have a lot of money. She saw this as a way to be able to feed her kids when, things were kind of scarce.
Yeah, we still had big gardens. We were canning tomatoes. My mom always did it, and then ever since I've been together with Brock, we've been doing the same thing.
Oh, heck. And you always can more than you actually need, because you have that 1 or 2 cans that didn't seal right, and
the jar that explodes in the canner because you've used it too many years in a row.
Yeah, that's new people they don't understand why you do so much of it. And it's good for like 2 years. I mean, we ate beans this past year, green beans, that we put up 2 years ago, and they're still good.
Yeah, my pickles, I do pickles like that. And they're, a couple years later, everyone's like, can you get them to stay crispy? Like, if you can figure that out, okay. But the only way I've figured that out is the not hot water bath them, and that means you're eating a quickle. Like, as soon as you take them through the bath, they have that little bit of lose that crispy edge. So, what I was talking about the other day was where do all our jars come from?
China.
Right? So we go into, grid down type scenario. Where do we get more jars from?
Well, my mom would save all kinds of jars.
Right, I get that. But eventually, you throw them through the canner too many times, they get the microfracture. I mean, eventually you're going to run out of them. So I was like, we need to start like the PBN, like our own ball factory back in the United States again, making our own mason jars for preppers. So if anybody's hip hop on doing an entrepreneurial thing, like, there's the idea, man. Start doing jars again.
Oh, man, wait till Trump gets reelected, and I'm pretty sure the government will give you a grant.
Right? Yeah. I was talking about it with Jane, actually, Survivor Jane. I was like, so where do you get more jars once the collapse happens? She was like, well, we got a freeze dryer. I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't know. We gotta start thinking about that one even further than just learning how to can. We got to know how to make those jars.
Yeah.
What's the logistics on making a jar factory? I mean, that's got to be a startup,
right? I know.
Yeah, but Trump was all about moving manufacturing back to the United States, and I'm pretty sure that if you said something like that, they would be all in. I mean, you get help from everywhere,
Right.
and investors, because that's pretty key, I think.
I would think so too. I mean, even the current administration just put more taxes on the aluminum that they use for canned foods. So that's just going to make all the canned foods more expensive.
Yeah, which really isn't as good for as what you put up yourself.
Right.
That's another thing. The your own nutrition, and you control the amount of salt. If you don't put any salt in it, we can everything. We can meat, we can vegetables. Now we also have 5 freezers and 3 refrigerators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have that. We have several different kinds, and we keep going back and forth on the darn freeze dryer. And Maria now, just this past week, said, if we get a freeze dryer, we're going to get the one that has the pump that you don't need the oil. She says, if we're going to spend that much money, I don't want to keep putting oil in this.
Right.
Yeah. So, and freeze drying, it locks in all the nutrients, and the shelf life is 25 years. I mean, it's
right. And the stuff that they're making in the store, a lot of it has so much sodium in it. It's just not good for you. Like some of the suppliers. Yeah. So not like the best thing to have unless you can do it yourself. And the stuff that Ryan was doing and bringing to prepper camp, oh my gosh, that was so good.
Oh yeah, there's no comparison. Yeah. I mean, if you did an actual side-by-side case test, which I think he did at that first year of prepper camp, there's no comparison. His stuff just tastes fabulous.
Right. But can you afford that, right? Like I was saying, right now, it's like just ends meet type scenario. I'm finding myself going through some of my stores because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just nightmare scenario as far as the inflation and all that stuff right now.
Yeah, inflation, everything's getting, more expensive. And, you look at that 25-year shelf life, and you think about how much that thing cost when you put it up. And then 25 years from now, how much it's going to cost when you eat it. But we have things here.
True.
Like her herb garden does fabulous every year. That's one thing that up here on the mountain we can count on. I mean, basil, nettle, it just goes crazy. She has more than she could put up because we feed it to the ducks, we feed it to the chickens. But if we had a freeze dryer, wow.
Right.
We could freeze dry it.
What's your herbs. Plan? Okay, CME or EMP hits tomorrow. What's your plan for your freezers?
Oh, that's a great question.
Right.
But I have a 1,500-gallon septic tank buried in my backyard that is a root cellar. It has 4 inches of reinforced concrete with 3 feet of dirt on top, and it keeps a constant temperature. Now, I do have to tell you, I have not been able to fool with it as much as I'd like to, because you got to keep the ventilation and humidity. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I have ventilation put in, and I have a fan. I have not hooked it up yet. So at the end of season last year, like 1 year ago, we put a sack of 50-pound potatoes down there, some pumpkins, some squash, some onions, and a ham. And now for PBN listeners, imagine a refrigerator, a walk-in refrigerator as big as 6 by 9 by 6, and you never have to plug it in.
Right.
I mean, it's Yeah.
So that could
And the different levels.
that could definitely buy you time as far as like, okay, it goes down, we got to start canning or preserving.
Right.
How's the ham look? Did you eat the ham? How's it look a year later?
No. Now, it has some like mold on the outside. But,
right.
You cut that off, and the ham's cured in a way with salt that the inside is just fine. I mean,
right. That's how they used to roll, like back in the day, like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah. So you say to yourself, you can't hurt ham. So, like I said, we don't have failures here on the Jones homestead. We have limited success.
Right. And learning experiences.
Yeah, exactly. So the 50-pound bag of potatoes, they all sprouted.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and got them, and we planted them.
Yeah.
And now we have way more potatoes. Okay. So that went well. And then, the warden just came in. Now, honey, we're talking about the root cellar. Now, I know I didn't get the ventilation and everything squared away. So what else did we have? Oh, the onions. The onions did just fine.
How did you store them? Did you do the braid, or were they just all piled together?
Yep. We had garlic that was braided.
Okay.
And it just fine. And the onions were in little bags, and they were hanging. So they did fine too.
Okay. Because we did like huge bins one time, onions. We had like a cold storage room in California, so you couldn't bury it. But we had like an air conditioner that was specifically, we made our own fridge basically. And we had like a huge bin. It was like 50 pounds of onions just stacked on each other. And they lasted a long time, but the ones at the bottom like became this onion slime mixture.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. I have seen that.
It was so yummy to clean up. Yeah.
So Maria wants to say about something.
Potatoes, you can't judge because of potatoes. Because I think the potatoes were like second half, so it wasn't fresh potatoes.
Oh, okay. She said the potatoes were very old and they weren't washed. So you really can't judge it by what happened to the potatoes. Okay, she's leaving.
What? Oh, darn it. I was going to ask her the question about the freezer.
Oh, come here.
When you planted, but the potatoes, did they grow well?
Yes. Where we planted them did grow well. Now, there was an experiment
that's not
too.
A loss.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely not a loss. We did put some containers because we wanted to experiment with them. Now, she was going to ask, if all the power goes off forever and ever, what are we doing with our 5 freezers?
I'm just going to start to count. Plus, all meat I have, I can't cook louder. You can. So we have a lot of tallow and fat. We just can do tokitura. Tokitura is a...
Oh, tokitura. There you go.
When I want to pig at Christmas, we preserve it this way. So we cut the meat, we put the fat together, we let it, all to fry very well. And then you fill up the jars with meat, and we put all that fat on top. And it will solidify, and then you put a little bit of salt on top, and you are done. And you eat with that, we eat it until next winter when we cut the next pig, and you don't need any kind of refrigeration. As a matter of fact, this Saturday or Sunday, we're going to go get more tallow. I want to do soap with it.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of pork tallow, and we plan to buy another pork this year. And I have a lot of jars with, so... In 2-3 days with David, we can figure it out how to do with those freezers. No problem.
Yeah, so that tokitura, the fat on top seals it and preserves it, and it's like canning it.
So the fat, what you don't do with the bacon, you just, render it, and you hold the meat, so you cook the meat. You don't put it, uncooked, and then you pour over the meat, the fat. You can do the same with bear fat if you want. So that's an option. You can get a deer and a bear, and you have both things. You. So it's a lot of things. You can preserve with honey. Did you know you can preserve meat and honey? It will not go bad.
That is a great idea. That is great.
Yeah. Yep. Honey you can use for all kinds of things. It's a natural antibiotic, and you can use it on wounds. You can sweeten stuff, and you can preserve food with it.
But the meat, for example, I have ducks. You just dry can. You just put the meat with your condiments you want.
Yeah, you can just start making jerky.
It will let you have juice. So that's another thing. And you have plenty of cans.
Yeah, this year we're going to practice dry canning some deer meat.
Okay.
Yes.
Kids in the
yes.
tub.
Go. She has kids in the tub.
Another kid who checks their food.
Thank you, Maria. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And then you could literally just start making jerky out of it too. But again, my only thing about like doing jerky over a fire and that, if people are hungry and you're just like making tons of jerky, you're up in the mountains, but I'm not anymore. And that's kind of a beacon of we have food, Yeah.
Yep.
So that would be one thing.
We have in our storage, probably over 100 pounds of salt.
I was gonna say, like, you got to have that the salt stocked back.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
We order the salt like 50 pounds at a time, and then we use it. Not that it's going to go bad or anything,
right.
But if moisture gets in it, it just kind of clumps together. But we use it. She pickles everything. Pickled eggs, pickled, you name it. All. She did some pickled peppers.
So in this era, when we are like watching every single penny that we're spending, maybe we need to even think more grassroots, where we're thinking about the salt's going to be the important thing for preserving just basic rice, those kinds of things that you can store back instead of like maybe some of the flashier things like we would have been storing when we had the money to just go ahead and buy a whole flat of this and that and have canned storage all over the place.
Well, yeah. One of the things that I've said for a long time is that the stuff that's cheap right now will become very, very expensive when the grid goes down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, salt is cheap.
Right.
But you cannot mine salt 800 feet down in a salt mine without electricity.
Right.
I mean, the air is not going to get down there. So, we're back to, finding salt domes and things like that and drying salt from salt water.
From salt water, yeah.
Yep.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That'll make that more. And then, but gosh, the ocean lines, you take the grid down, you're just going to have a mess on the ocean line. So I'm not even sure, that you'd want to be using that water that's right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be disgusting. So, yeah, changing Earth. I was like, why are we not thinking about it now? Oh, it's worth too much money. I'm like, well, that's great. That's just great. So what about, you don't do a whole lot of foraging, right? You're not really
Well, we do just as needed because, the other day, so it's fall and it's kind of rainy and yucky and cold. And she found a whole bunch of, what is it? Turkey? No, not chicken. Mushrooms. She found mushrooms and they're chicken of the forest or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So she found a whole bunch of these, harvest them. We had it in soup. She's drying some right now to put in soup later. It was just an opportunity.
Got you.
I haven't mowed the grass since July, so it got kind of big. I know. And mushrooms grew. Who knew?
Hey, I mean, that's not a bad thing. Grid down. You ain't going to be worried
Just
about
trying to
mowing the
feed the
lawn.
family.
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
Well, part of my prep here is to make the house look abandoned, and it does.
Mm-hmm. No, that's smart because you don't want to be the target of like, oh, look at their nice little working homestead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. It's just really about affordability right now. And so I know Patriot Supply, like they're still going pretty good. I know you don't really, because you got the homestead going, but like if you were picking a long-term food supply product, what would be your product of choice?
Wow, that's a good question. Well,
I told you I wanted to pick your brain tonight. I mean,
yeah. We talked about salt, and salt's cheap right now.
Yep. Yeah,
And
I'm definitely putting that on my list.
Salt will be outrageously expensive. And we talked about honey. Honey is good for a bunch of different things. And if you can buy it in bulk, it
doesn't go bad.
Doesn't go bad.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need refrigeration. It's like a miracle, honey is. And eggs, if you're doing eggs are you can pickle eggs and make eggs, long-term storage. And that's a huge, huge protein there that you can,
yuck.
you can,
I know. I'm gonna have to suck it up. I get it, but
well, if you don't eat them yourself, you can use them to trade because, everybody likes, eggs. I mean, that would be a real barter thing if you had a big old,
fair enough,
half-gallon jar of pickled eggs.
Speaking of pickling, you need vinegar for pickling, right?
Yes.
So,
Now,
do you turn your spirits into your vinegar eventually? Do you do that as well?
Yeah, we have a couple different ways we make vinegar here. So we make apple cider vinegar, and she has these kombucha babies that she'll make vinegar out of them. And I don't know, that's some kind of science experiment.
Right? Yeah, the kombucha. I like,
the mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But having the mother around, right?
Yeah,
we had James had given me some of your the elderberry spirits, and we had that the other night, and it was so good, so good. Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go. We picked the elderberries. They grow everywhere up here, but we have a couple of our own bushes that are just massive. I mean,
they're so good for you.
Yeah. Elderberries are good for a bunch of different things, and you can use the flowers, you can use the berries. I mean, they're a good all around thing. Berries do really well up here. Raspberries, elderberries, blueberries, all the berries up here on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, we could forage our butt off when they come in. And strawberries, we planted strawberries, and they'll make little offshoots, and then you can plant those somewhere else and just keep increasing your strawberry patches.
Right. Yeah. Things that'll come back. I'm all about edible landscapes, because then you can just eat that, and then nobody knows you have like a garden. So these days, so I've really gone from like, okay, I'm gonna plant all this stuff to I'm gonna have all these animals to I'm just focusing on certain things that will, you might get really sick of eating it, but you're gonna be eating things. So if you had like one crop that you could really focus on that was gonna be your like food crop, you can forage in between and throw your little things in between, but what would you be focusing on as like something that you should get to grow and be really good at growing that thing year after year after year?
Okay, now I'm going to say something that's a little off here. Uh, but stinging nettle, okay,
Yep.
is hugely nutritious. And it grows where we are, it grows like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
She brought a small patch down from the old man that lives on the top of the hill. He finds it very funny that my wife goes up and digs out weeds and brings them down to our property
Yeah.
and plants them. But he understands, and this patch she transplanted has just gone crazy, and it's all over the place. Super nutritious.
Mm-hmm.
You can add it to soups. You can feed your animals with it. And there's
I
another
can't believe
thing.
I didn't think of that one. That is so good. That is, I should have thought of that one, but because I was thinking like, okay, well, I'd plant like some Jerusalem artichoke hearts because I gotta, I'm down here in the South, so I gotta have something that grows good in this climate, So I was thinking like
we've tried those, and they are wow.
Nasty.
They are they are very, very hard. You got to cook them a long time. They're bitter. They're wow.
Okay. All right.
Even this thing's going to save your life.
Good luck.
You'd say, well, I might try grass.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah. Yams do really good down here. I've had the most success with them so far. So, yeah.
But the berries, they give you a vitamin C, and that's really hard to come by.
Fair enough.
In normal plants and stuff like that. So you definitely got to have some berries.
Yeah, we have like the peach tree, but everything, it's rough growing around here. Eventually we'll get out of here because this isn't the long term, but it's a good holding spot. And you never know when that day is coming, so you better be ready for it to be tomorrow. And I was like, okay, since I'm having such a struggle of getting stuff to grow on this property, like if I can just get one crop that I know I could grow over and over again, I think it's yams for a little. It's rough down here. So
yeah, well, and anything like that, tubers, anything that grows underground, man, you can plant them anywhere. Now, I'm going to suggest something like going out in the medium of a roadway that's close to your house, a 4-lane roadway, and just planting potatoes out there. Because no one knows what potatoes look like until you dig them up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And guerrilla gardener.
Exactly. Guerrilla gardening. And then you just let them go. You let them go year after year. They'll make more horseradish, ginger. Because the reason I say horseradish, 12 years ago, we put horseradish in. And now we have horseradish all over the place that we just go out and dig up with a shovel whenever we need some horseradish.
That is, that is. I've been reading that about ginger too, because ginger keeps my stomach in line, right? So I've been like, okay, I got to get some of that going as well.
Yeah, and great, trading material.
Got a birthday shout out real quick. Our online chat buddy Preppin' Patriot, it's his birthday today, or her birthday today. I don't know. I don't want to assume anything. So happy birthday to the Preppin' Patriot. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I didn't get any questions. I opened up the chat. I was like, hey, give me some questions, some food prep questions, but didn't get any.
We're trying a couple different things this year that we've never tried before. Okay, so we have some guineas.
Oh, the guinea hens. Oh my gosh, they're so loud and annoying.
Yes. Well, that's part of why we got them, okay, for like an alarm. But they get big enough that you can butcher them. We're also doing pigeons because pigeons are foragers. Yeah. And her dad, Maria's dad, raised pigeons all her life. And they just grab a pigeon.
Now you can send me messages.
Yeah.
That pigeon better eat up, get a good meal before he flies down to see you, sir.
Oh, it better.
Yeah.
It better. I'll be like, oh, thanks for the message and dinner. No, we had been thinking, long and hard about animals on our property because we only have an acre here. Coming off the 40 acres, Brock wanted less land, easier to maintain. Just, or like I say, this is a pause over for a minute. And so we were thinking like, oh, we could do some of this and some of that. And again, I was like, okay, well, let's just focus on the one thing that we're good at and do that thing well. So always comes back down to chickens for us. And it was just like, well, they've got to be able to forage too if you can't like go buy feed for them.
Yeah. Chickens is a real standby. We got, what do we got? 26 chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's way too many. So we're going to be putting some in freezer camp here before.
Yeah. What kind do you do? Because you do eggs and meat birds?
Yeah, we have done both. And the meat birds, they're fantastic. I mean, 6 weeks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was there.
Last year we did 48 meat birds, and we had enough chickens in the freezer. We filled one freezer up with nothing but chicken. And if we ate 2 chickens a week, every week we'd have enough chickens for 6 months.
Yeah.
And
how
it was good.
How do the meat birds, I mean, obviously they come from eggs, so who's laying the eggs for those ones? Like they have like big, like, because we had some Cornish hens and
yes.
I didn't realize that like they were ready to go after like 6 weeks, and it was like 3 months later and they were literally like growing out of their own skin, and we were like, I think it's time to butcher them. I've never seen a Cornish hen that big.
Yeah, they will actually die.
Yeah.
They get so big. And these things, that's all they do is eat and grow.
That's why I was wondering if it's like an Aliens type situation where you have like one like big chicken that's laying all the meat bird eggs or something. I don't know. I'm tripped out by it.
No, they artificially inseminate them and then they get the eggs. Yeah, but it's the meat birds, if you want to do meat birds for meat, but we're having for eggs, leghorns.
Oh, like longhorn leghorn?
Exactly.
Nice.
Boy, I say.
I say. I could totally see Dave with like the, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking Rhode Island Reds, that I would just start doing Rhode Island Reds because they're good for both meat and eggs too.
Correct. And we have a few of those. So she's gonna decide who gets on the chopping block.
Yeah, Maria's good side.
You've pecked your last chicken.
Well,
Very
we have
cool.
one that the dog jumped on and kind of broke its wing a little bit, so we know that guy's going.
Oh.
But the leghorns are definitely just egg producers. They're smaller. They don't eat as much. You can definitely forage them.
Fair enough.
And they'll pop an egg out every day for 2 years. If you keep that light on in the coop, and I mean get the light on now,
right?
Because it's starting to turn winter. You got to get them used to that, and then they will pop an egg out for 2 years, and then at the end of 2 years, well, soup.
Boop, another soup pot. Yeah, we've got to re-up chickens coming up in the spring, so I'm gonna do the expansion and invest in that. So that's why I was kind of curious. But I think that is the way that I'm gonna go, is with the The reds. I've had them before. I really like them. They can be a little nasty, but just smack them around a little.
Well, now, if any of the listeners out there have very, very limited space, you can actually grow quail in an apartment.
Huh.
Because, these things right here. Now, the limitations of quail is they need a higher protein food content.
Okay.
But you could put them in a little, cage, and they'll pop an egg out. Quail eggs are
little tiny. Yeah.
Yep. 5 times the nutrition of a regular egg, but you need 3 or 4 of them to make up for one egg.
Right.
And they'll do the same thing.
Have you done like scrambled quail eggs and eaten them?
Oh yes.
Because like the duck eggs, it's kind of weird. Does the quail egg have any weirdness compared to a normal like chicken egg?
No, but I've never had duck eggs, so I don't know.
Oh, see, I thought the duck eggs were like a little heavy and like almost like
Heavier,
watery. Yeah. That it was like,
No.
They're really good for baking, but when it came to like just eating them scrambled, it was a little odd.
But now we have 19 ducks that we're raising up right now just for meat. And now since you said that, we may let them go.
What kind of ducks? What kind of ducks are they?
Gray and black. I don't know what they're called.
Okay. Yeah, we did like Muscovies. They were good. They laid a lot of eggs and they were good meat birds too. So I let them hatch some of the eggs, and we had like 21 little ducklings. So we just put all the males in the freezer and let the females keep laying eggs.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 2 years ago, we had ducks, but they were specifically meat birds, and we didn't know which ones were, good, which ones weren't. So we got like 2 of each that Tractor Supply had.
Gotcha.
I think Maria's actual quote was, "These ducks look lonely. We should take them home with us."
That's how we ended up with a meat bird when we got our chicken birds. Brock was like, "I really like the white one that's in there with them." I'm like, "I don't know. That one doesn't look like an egg layer." And he's like, "No, we should get that white one." I'm like, "Fine, we'll get 7 chickens, so you can get your little white one." And then she started eating and growing up. We called her Cankles because she was getting so big and so fat. And I was like, "Babe, I think that's a meat bird." So she ended up as a Christmas dinner. And man, 2 of her breasts was like the whole plate. It was crazy. So she was a big girl.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, well, we got to get into some changing Earth news. We've just ripped through the time. I knew we would. But I really appreciate you coming on. Are you going to stick around for changing Earth news, or are you going to go answer to the warden?
I might have to answer the warden. I'm going to put it on mute because she brought me down supper and I haven't eaten yet.
All right. Sounds good. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into some changing Earth. Did you have any questions, Chin? We can always pick Dave's brain after we're done. So, sorry, I was like,
I know how to get a hold of Dave.
Yeah, I had questions for him. I'm like, I need to know some things that like are a little bit more in depth than just regular food prep because times they are changing, man. All right, let's jump into some changing Earth. All right, changing Earth news. Today is October 15th of 2023, the year of our Lord. The sun is chilling right now. There's been some minor CME activity, some M-class flares happening, but nothing that should be of concern. We'll have to look and see how far they come down and impact the planet. We've had some really low-level CMEs causing really northern lights a lot further down than they should be. So that's kind of odd. So we're just going to keep our eye on that. They have been researching the ozone hole that's over the Antarctic, and it is absolutely record size right now. And a lot of the mainstream scientists are trying to explain why it is the way it is. But over at Suspicious Observers, his opinion is that it is because of that weakening shield and the amount of solar radiation that we are intaking. So that should be interesting to see what happens with that over the next few years and what our planet ends up doing as we enter this time of change. So top news for this week is the earthquakes that have been happening in Afghanistan. Some major quakes going on there, and 3 major quakes in the last week. So they need some prayers over there. And it's been turmoil over in that area of the world anyway. It's not really my area of expertise, but lots of people need prayers over there right now. So keep your mind on Israel and what's happening over in Afghanistan. All right, October 9th. We had 405 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in Indonesia. We had a 4.3 near Seattle. I got friends over there in Washington, and they were like, we didn't even feel it. So, but the news definitely made a big deal out of it because they just came out with their, with this big study on how likely it is that there's going to be a big quake over there. Japan issued a tsunami advisory after back-to-back earthquakes that hit offshore. One was a 5.4, but they later lifted that advisory. Everything was all good. There's been some really bad flooding in Myanmar. It's displaced over 14,000 people there. So definitely getting wet over there. Remnants of Typhoon Kainu had brought flooding to Hong Kong. So that's the one that hit Taiwan, and then it hit Hong Kong as well. Central Quebec also experienced some flooding on the 9th, causing some sinkholes in the center of the city. And Scotland got majorly walloped by the last storm that came through. They were also seeing some major flooding. And then Naval Florida had some big wildfire activity, shut down US 98. But they've got that under control, doing well now. On October 10th, there was 317 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 6.0. And there was a 4.5 earthquake in BC, so that's still west coast there of North America. Fast-growing wildfire up there in BC also threatened a couple dozen homes. On October 11th of 2023, there was 415 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 6.3 in the Indian Ocean. Phoenix, Arizona got hit by a strong dust storm. We got PBN hosts in Arizona, so I wanted to bring that one up. And Category 4 Hurricane Lydia hit Mexico, causing a lot of flooding in Colima, and it brought about 140-mile-an-hour winds to Puerto Vallarta. Unfortunately, 2 people did lose their lives when Lydia hit, and 2 people were also injured. That's a big resort town. I actually went there for my honeymoon, so the resorts got pretty messed up from it. On the 11th is when the 6.3 hit Afghanistan, and unfortunately about 90% of the 1,294 people that died in that earthquake, they had one prior with over 2,000 people dead in that one, but in this quake it was about 1,294 people died, and 90% of those were women and children. What happened is when the first quake happened, they thought it was an explosion, so everybody ran for their homes, and the second quake hit, and it was an earthquake, and unfortunately, the homes were just leveled. Zendajan province, they got pretty much leveled, and also 1,688 people were injured in that event. There was a 4.0 east of San Antonio, Texas. It's been getting a little active down here. I haven't felt any, but this is down like southwest Texas. Kilauea was making a lot of noise the beginning of the week, really quieted down in the end of this week, so we'll have to just see what's happening. I got some interesting volcano news to bring you on that note. There's big series of wildfires raging in Argentina near Cordoba province. It has triggered massive evacuations there. They're actively trying to save those towns. They're on the 10th. On October 12th, there was 362 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the southern Pacific Ocean near New Zealand. Palm Coast of Florida, they had possible tornadoes light up, causing significant damage, but this was a multiple day event, and they were actually slammed by tornadoes on both coasts. So Florida, just a nightmare. One of the stories that I was looking at, this guy had just finished rebuilding his business from the Idalia damage, and 2 hours later, the tornado comes through and takes out his business. It's like, man, that's just the worst luck there is. On October 13th, there was 450 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 6.0 in the Indian Ocean. There was significant flooding in southeast Florida because of the storms that came through, and a 4.6 hit Afghanistan, same area. 5.2 hit the Philippine capital. On the 14th of October, there was 424 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.7 in the southern Pacific Ocean, a 5.2 west of Batangas in the Philippines, and a 3.0 earthquake hit Morocco. On the 15th, today of 2023, there was an earthquake, and this is the longest, most messed up, or probably not messed up, but the hardest to say city ever that I've done. It's like Thiruvananthapuram, India. I was like, is that really a word? Yeah, it is really a word. And they were hit with heavy flash flooding. One of their hospitals was hit really bad. It's flooded their morgue out. So that's like, oh, weird. Okay. But they're trying to clean up after that mess. And then the 6.5 hit Afghanistan again. It was early this morning is when they got hit again. So we'll have to see what the numbers coming out of that earthquake are. And then a 3.1 hit in India. It was felt down to Delhi. So my interesting volcano news for you. So we've been just spiking out on volcano activity, right? This week, we only have 26 volcanoes erupting, 16 showing minor activity, and 32 showing unrest. That is literally 20 volcanoes off the list in 1 week. We went down 3 in the erupting. We went down 19 in volcanoes showing minor activity. So you really have to wonder, like, I know the solar activity has been down. We've had a lot of intense earthquake activities. Usually the volcanoes are going to uptick after that. Is it just like the earth taking a breath right now? I'm not sure I want to feel too comforted by the numbers, and I've never, ever seen that drastic of a change in 1 week. So either like they're not reporting stuff or some craziness is going on. I've just never seen that drastic of a change.
Could enough pressure been relieved from all this activity that it's starting to slow up?
Right, that it's chilling out? I don't know, because the Earth is spinning faster. When you get that faster spin on our magnetic core, it's going to excite all that activity that's going on. So we should see the release continue. I just don't know what to make of it. I've never seen the numbers do that before, honestly. So just something curious to know. Wildfires in the United States were at the preparedness level of 1. So very, very low wildfire threat. 283,000 acres are actively burning from 15 fires. 2 of them are contained. Number 1 on the list is California with 177,000 acres on fire. 7 fires. 2 of them are new and none of them are contained. Oregon, 61,130 acres are on fire from 4 fires. None are contained. Louisiana is still hitting number 3 with 31,290 acres on fire. That's coming from only 1 fire, and it is not contained at this time. And Arizona is number 4. Again, I'm just bringing Arizona in because of our buddies out there. 11,255 acres on fire from 1 fire. It is not contained. And Michigan was on the list today. Little old Michigan, my home state. Got lots of buddies, right? So they have 144 acres on fire from 1 fire. So way to go, Michigan. You made the list. Whoever was out there burning their fire and letting it get out of control. Or however it started, I'm not sure. But so don't mark my words for it. All right, so yeah, Changing Earth News, pretty simple today. Besides our horrific activity that we had over in Afghanistan, some major storms hitting. I do want to remind you guys that episode 7 is now posted from the Changing Earth audio drama. You guys got to go over there and listen to the audio drama. There are some great content coming up. You don't want to miss these episodes, or you won't know what's going on later. 7 is up for the members, subscribing members, commercial-free version, and 6 is up for the general public right now. So, like I say, great episodes. I'm really proud of these ones. So check it out. Give me feedback. Thanks for everybody who commented who you think should play actor roles and performer roles when we take it to the TV screen. That was cool. I had people hitting me up on Facebook and whatnot, so that was fun. So thank you for that feedback. Changing Earth merchandise is coming soon. I got the sample in of the sweatshirt that I designed. I love it. It looks beautiful. So pretty soon I'll have links to that up on my website where you can go get your Changing Earth merchandise. And then the self-defense videos are coming along as well. I am sorry for the delay on that one. We just had some sickies go through, and it just didn't get done as fast as we were hoping to get things done. So, you can't blame all my volunteers that I have helping me out with this stuff. So mainly Miss JB hooking me up there. So no blame going around at all. You can't decide when sickness is going to strike. So it is coming soon, and we'll have that for you as soon as it's available. All right, you still hanging out, Dave? He's like,
oh
what?
No, where is he?
I know.
The warden called him.
Yeah. Oh no, he is gone. He's out. Well, it was a pleasure to have Dave on. Oh man, love picking his brain. Yeah, like when you're just in it that far, to be able to pick somebody's brain like that, because it's challenging right now. So challenging.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, why do we got to be working when we're going into Armageddon? Like, when do we get to just bust out the Mad Max clothes? I was gonna do a picture of me sitting at my computer in the Mad Max outfit.
You asked about the freezer, and I thought for sure he'd go to smoking or something, or
oh, that's a killer idea too.
No, he went right to the tallow. So I
Right?
posted a thing about preserving, the 1700s, how they preserved meat with lard and stuff. So
Yeah.
he went right there.
I'm going to give that a whirl. I love that story. When we did the review of, I read them anyway. When we did the Little House in the Big Woods, and her dad made it out of the stump. That was so cool. That's I really want to do that one day. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I want to build a smokehouse up here.
I saw somebody do it with a file cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a metal file cabinet all stacked, and then you can put the meat in the drawers and you build the fire in the bottom. It was solid. It worked, man. We did pick up a grill finally. That's like a smoker and a grill. My mom actually is a bomb. Found a great one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but
my problem is it doesn't hold heat well because it's just a single wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it was really hard to keep the temperature over time.
Yes, Brock had the
I
same
got one
problem.
of those ceramic egg grill things, and that thing's awesome. I mean, you get that up to temperature, it holds it forever. I like that a lot.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
I've got a Weber, stacked, smoking grill thing. And it was so hard to keep it at temperature. You really have to keep feeding it and playing with it. And, you have to keep an eye on it,
Yeah.
Because the temperature, there's no insulate, there's nothing to hold the heat once you build it up. So you have to keep feeding the fire to keep it maintained at that
File cabinet's going to be the same way for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But you might be able to insulate it, right?
It's true.
Find a way to insulate it so once you build up the heat, you won't lose it.
Yeah,
So,
I was like, that's pretty
anyway,
cool because
that's my 2
everybody's
cents.
throwing out their old metal filing cabinets. Like, who has those around anymore except me?
Yeah, but I mean, the people, businesses and stuff.
Yeah, do the upgrade to
else.
like the wooden slick ones,
Yeah.
Okay, so for anybody who watches any kind of animes, I get sucked into animes because of my kids, And so I was telling Fletcher, I'm like, where's the post-apocalyptic anime, Like, that's the one I want to watch. And so he got me watching a show. It's called Dr. Stone. And it's all about, like, everybody on Earth was turned to stone. And then one of the main characters ends up waking up later. And he's, like, the scientist guy. And he's going to rebuild a scientific technology world. And it is exactly how I like to write things, like blending.
Where are you watching this?
We watch it on Crunchyroll, it's called. It's like it's an app that can, Crunchyroll. So
I think I've seen.
Yeah, so we're watching it off Crunchyroll. But it's a really cool show because he's, they take like the moment to be like, this plus this equals this, and this is how you do this, and this is how you make copper wire, this is how you make a generator, it's really, really neat, actually. And I was like, all right, I like this one. Very much like my writing style. So yeah, if you're bored and you like animes at all, you check out Dr. Stone. All right, well, let's get the heck out of here. We went a little bit over, but that's okay. I'll work it out. Maybe we'll have some bonus content for our subscribers over there. So, all right. I hope everybody had a great time. Thank you for coming on into the chat room. Always a pleasure to see you there. And until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorsarahfhathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.